I probably had like over 500 conversations with engineers about the products they're using now, and then about HVACR, what they don't like about it. And almost all of them with some of these new versions rolled out are like, it's taking me longer to do my work now. And I just don't understand how you can roll out a product that takes you longer and that costs the engineer more time than your previous version.
Every SaaS company has to deal with this as they adopt AI and their product gets better and the number of users goes down. You either eat into your TAM by reducing your total number of users that you can sell to, or you'd have to increase your price so much per person that it becomes untenable to actually sell in the package.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the Bricks and Bytes podcast, where we dive into construction and AEC technology. Before we get started though, if you're a startup founder or operator responsible for innovation in your company, or you want a deeper, more insightful look into technology in AEC, you won't want to miss our newsletter. From deep dives into particular technologies such as AI, robotics, design, software, and so on. Hot takes from investors betting big in AEC technology, and advice on building tech companies, including the stories and takeaways of the most successful AEC technology founders. Head over to www.bricks-bytes.com and sign up today to get this exclusive material straight to your inbox. And now for the episode. In construction, precision matters. Every budget line, every schedule, every document. But too often, project data is scattered across tools and departments, creating risky silos. That's where ArcDesk comes in. ArcDesk is the all-in-one construction management platform designed to connect your entire project operation, from opportunity through to tender, all the way to handover. With real-time dashboards, cost control, scheduling, procurement, and document management in one place, ArcDesk gives you complete visibility and control. Trusted by contractors, subcontractors, and asset owners worldwide, ArcDesk has powered landmark projects from shopping centers to Europe's tallest buildings. If you're ready to reduce risk, protect your margins, and deliver projects with confidence, discover ArcDesk today. Visit arcdesk.com, that's ARCH desk.com, and see how leading firms are building smarter with ArcDesk. Major construction projects are complex, and delivery leaders know that things rarely go to plan. The problem is that most teams don't see what's slipping or why until it's too late. The best construction leaders know that in order to deliver on schedule, everyone needs to be planning together, committing to targets, and tracking performance every day. By bringing look-aheads, weekly work plans, visual staging diagrams, and daily activity briefings into one multiplayer platform, Afex gives the world's leading projects a single place to plan and coordinate their work. Join the largest contractors across Europe, the UK, Asia, Australia, and New Zealand. Learn more at afex.co. That's aphex.co.
Davis, Andrew, thank you so much for joining us. So before we dive into HVACR, can you tell us how you guys met? I understand it was through a form of music.
Yeah.
Yeah, through music. You want to take that or me, Davis?
Well, from my side of the story, we met at Cal Poly, both went to Cal Poly for mechanical engineering, and we're going to the same church out there actually. And Andrew learned I played bass, asked me to play bass. I thought he was asking me to play bass for like the church worship team. And I did that all the time. I was like, yeah, absolutely. And so I show up to practice and he gives me the song sheets and very quickly realized this was not for the worship team. He had a band. He had a indie rock band that he was just starting.
Indie rock, so, man, that's cool.
Yeah, indie surf rock, I think you could call it.
Okay.
So that's how I got into Andrew's band. And then we played, what was that, sophomore year? And so beginning of sophomore year all the way through senior year, and then even a little bit after, we were rocking out in San Luis Obispo, California. Made a little bit of a name for ourselves.
Nice.
It's very
Yeah.
nice of you to call it Andrew's band. I don't know if I would put it that way. It was, but
What was your
yeah,
role
we
in
had
the
a
band,
ton of
Andrew?
fun. Yeah, we're all in the band. We're all in the band together. It was a ton of fun.
Were you lead singer?
I was, yeah.
Oh.
And
Can we have a sample?
not today. That was a
Not this
past
early.
life. Yeah. You can go over to Spotify for that.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's cool. So how does one or two go from a band to software company in the MEP space?
Well, first we didn't drop out of college to pursue the band thing. We're stuck with our mechanical engineering studies. And even towards the end of college, Andrew and I would meet up and we're like, we want to start a company. Both of us want to start a company. We just don't know what it's going to be. And actually, I think we still have like an ongoing list of different ideas that we started in college. But
You'll work through 'em.
graduated, yeah, with our degrees. We got some backup plans with our degrees, and then went into just different sectors. So I went into HVAC, right? And actually at Cal Poly, I took the HVAC concentration, got involved at the ASHRAE Club. So HVAC was the route I went, going into construction, mechanical engineering in that industry. Andrew can share kind of the direction he went a little bit, and then maybe just tell him how
Bring it back.
we kind of, bring it back.
Yeah. Well, first, you reminded me that we had this Slack channel that we made together called Muxlow. Do you remember this?
Yeah, I do remember
And
this, yeah.
that's where we kind of shared a lot of ideas. And I think we both knew that both our dads were entrepreneurs as well, and that we both wanted to do that.
In construction, and they were outside construction.
Your dad, I guess,
yeah.
construction adjacent. Do you want to talk about your dad's company?
Actually, yeah. So for a construction podcast, it's pretty relevant. My dad was in construction. He was a general contractor. And then he invented a product called Ramboard, which is just floor protection for construction.
Yes, know it very well.
He his origin story is really, really interesting too. He also did some acting. He was on movie sets and saw that they would roll out plywood whenever they wanted to protect the flooring of whatever set they were shooting at. And they're lifting sheets of plywood and then just piecing them together. So he's tried selling to movie studios first, and then really quickly pivoted to selling to contractors and supply yards. And so he got in. There was nothing else like Ramboard out there, and built that company for probably about 15 years, and then sold it in 2013, I believe. So all my life growing up, it was my dad starting this company, running this company, building it. All I ever knew was Ramboard. And
Is it like the
it did very
Ramboard?
well. Yes.
Yeah, like if you go into any good like project in London where people are protecting floors, I'm almost certain you will see this on the floor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You'll see it in Home Depot and Lowe's and, all those stores.
Mm-hmm.
I still send him pictures whenever I'm on job sites and I'm walking on Ramboard. And so
That's crazy. You go from like film to creating Ram. That's such a cool story.
Yeah.
yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
Actually, I didn't know the first part of that story, that it started with the entertainment industry and everything. I've never heard that.
We'll hook him up for a podcast next time.
We'll get him scheduled in.
Yeah. So Andrew, take it back. So you said that you were your parents were entrepreneurs, but respectively, and then you guys came about obviously during the band. But then how did it happen with HVAC?
Yeah. I
why
guess,
why the design was like a problem to tackle, and how did you spot the design? Why did you not go somewhere else?
So much to talk about, so little time. Yeah, I think Davis will probably bring it back over to design. I guess to briefly touch on my side, I grew up around my dad's company, um, and that was a plastics injection molding business. And so I was around manufacturing of small parts and understood process. And it was my first job in junior high, working on one of these plastics injection molding machines, pulling parts out and looking for defects and short shots, and started to really fall in love with manufacturing. And that's one of the reasons I went into mechanical engineering and to Cal Poly. Actually, both my parents went to Cal Poly as well, so that was influential there. And then so of course that was important in meeting Davis and making that part of the story happen. After school, or I suppose it's worth telling a quick story. During school, there were different concentrations available at Cal Poly, and I knew Davis was doing this HVAC one. And I had decided to do this new one they started called entrepreneurship. And I found it really valuable in just learning the very basics of what it means to start a company and how to do it and how to talk to customers and kind of the right order of doing things. Not to say that I've always done it right. I've done it wrong more times than right. But we actually formed a team during the senior project for this concentration to build a little business that we actually raised $10,000 for. And we made this, it was actually an ag tech product. And it was a remotely adjustable drip emitter for high-end wine grapes. You could go deploy it to a farm and use some aerial photography data to update continuously the rate of water that these plants were getting, which was a terrible product because it replaced a 10-cent thing with a $10 thing. But it was really, really cool and kind of inspired me to continue in that direction a little bit. So after school, I went into the life science market, which is very different from ag tech, but had this commonality where we were managing very small amounts of fluid to automate chemistry on what's called a fluidic circuit. So it's this market called microfluidics where you can make a little, it looks like a printed circuit board, but instead of moving electricity around, you'd be moving tiny amounts of fluid, blood and gross stuff and reagents, and you're making a laboratory on a chip. And that is actually really important for our story because that's what led me to start building software. That design process was so similar to designing a circuit board in electronics, but we didn't have a specialized software. You wouldn't be able to visualize the states of the device, what valves are open, which pumps are active, are they pushing or pulling, and how do you program this lab while you're designing it. So I started building software to help you design. I called it ECAD, or EDA, electronic design automation for microfluidics. And it started going well at first. This market was kind of up and down relative with COVID. As COVID was starting, a lot of money started pouring into this market to do automated chemistry, diagnostics we'd build, and different therapies you can design. And I started getting my first customers. It was exciting. This was all on the side while I had these jobs. And it was enough at a certain point to decide to go all in. I'm going to go leave my job and just try to be an entrepreneur. But then almost immediately after that, the market started to dry up and growth stopped happening. And I just realized this niche is much smaller than I thought in my little bubble in San Diego, where life sciences is so huge. And so right around that time, I started sort of grasping for a better application for this core software around UI, around doing calculations with flow, with this user interface. So kind of in the meantime, Davis and I had been building this MVP of application around HVAC. And maybe I should pass it back to you, Davis. So I think your angle on it would be much better than mine.
Yeah. I went into MVP consulting right out of college. So I worked for a consulting firm for a couple of years and kind of learned the processes and started to get a number of designs for HVAC under my belt. And then, started having kids, wanted to be closer to home. So I moved back to Southern California and worked for a design build mechanical contractor, also as an engineer, but got to see more of the construction side of mechanical systems actually go up, get installed. But still, there were these design steps that I was like, they do it the same way as this other company I was at, but they have their own set of Excel spreadsheets, and it's still like this pretty disconnected process. And the software I'm using is very old, and I wish it did other things and was a little bit better and included more steps and was kind of easier to use. And then I worked there a couple of years. The third company I went to work for after that, it was the exact same thing. And that's when I was like, all right, I would love to build just a platform for HVAC engineering tasks where instead of having 12 different platforms I'm using, 12 different file types, it's all in one place and everything talks to each other. It's all integrated. So if I change one thing here at the beginning, like my ultimate design updates with it. I don't have to redo like 7 or 8 different Excel spreadsheets. And I remember Andrew, we met up. We were at In-N-Out because I think you were up in Orange County for some reason. So we got In-N-Out. We were eating outside, and I was telling you about this idea. I had already sketched out some of the interface I was picturing and had like this binder with just like graph paper. It's like, this would be page 1, page 2. And Andrew was like, yeah, I could build that because it matched so closely in like with the root of it, the fundamentals, the fluid dynamics, the thermodynamics. It matched so closely with that Andrew was already building. He already had the structure thanks to the microfluidic software he was starting. And so, I also was just working my regular job and nights and weekends. Andrew and I started building the first version, I guess you could call it, of HVACR, starting with coding load calcs and bringing that into this interface that Andrew had set up, and then building from there, building duct design on top of that. And it was, 2023 was a big year for both of us because that summer, Andrew and I, we both quit our day jobs to go all in. And my primary focus was on HVACR, and Andrew had flow circuits and was doing a microfluidic product while helping me with HVACR. And I was basically like, hey, I'm going to start selling HVACR and see how far I can take this, try and get customers. He's focused on selling flow circuits. And then, Andrew, do you want to share the story of Techstars and how we ended up eventually like coming to the head?
The big convergence happened when we were applying to some accelerator programs And maybe it's worth also mentioning we applied to Boost for HVACR,
Mm-hmm.
and
Which
Man,
year? Which year was it?
they're gonna regret that.
this was Boost 5.
Okay.
That was
Yeah.
last year then.
This was in
2 years ago.
2024. Yes,
Mm.
I
Yes.
think it was Boost 5 or maybe it was 4. I don't.
I think it would have been, yeah. Well, I applied in 2023. I forget when the start date for the actual accelerator
that's
was,
for the
but
2024, I think.
okay, yeah. So, and I think 2024, that was 5, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
I
yeah.
think it was Boost 5, and then Flow Circuits, despite just really going downhill, was applying towards Techstars in San Diego, and it's just the way that it worked out that HVACR did not get into Boost. We were just too early stage, even though the metrics were starting to look really good and usage was awesome and the customers just loved it and the reviews were just amazing. And Flow Circuits did get into Techstars, and because I think we just were able to tell a compelling story around automated laboratories, and
Is this all it's all about? Compelling story to get
What's
into
that?
Is this all that's all about? These compelling stories to get into the
It's
accelerators?
it's a bit about company story. If you're a VC, yeah. Well, I think I think since then I've learned traction and the team behind it are much more
Is it
important than the
the
story.
free
but
cheese. Two
yeah,
cheese.
tech team and traction. Yeah. In this case, it was more story, and it's not that there was zero traction. There was definitely some, and it was just a really interesting product category, right? And a good fit with San Diego as well, being such a life science hub. So I got into Techstars, and I was a little bit shocked, and I immediately called the managing director. And I talked to him. I said, "Hey, I know I've been talking to you for the last 3 months about flow circuits, but I want to tell you about HVACR too. I didn't tell you anything about this other thing."
What a cross sell.
It was a cross sell. And he was like, "What are you talking about?" He was like a little nervous. Like, is the legal team like, is it like what's going to happen? Because like we just invested in this in your business. And now
Oh
you're talking
man,
about a different business. It's like, is it the same business? And I was like, well, actually it's not, but I guess we could make it the
What a
same.
story.
So I basically told him, hey, if I'm going to go through this accelerator, I want to accelerate the business that I believe in more.
Mhm.
The one that I have conviction behind and that I can go 100% into, and the one where I can have Davis as a co-founder. I don't want to be alone anymore. And the more you get to know Davis, the more you'd want him to be your co-founder, whatever you're working on. So, so he basically said, that makes a lot of sense. I think let's try to make it happen. And so what we did, just technically, was merge the businesses, so that we can get the investment right on both sides and just do it right legally. But then we got all our ducks in a row, everything in order, to start the accelerator in September, as HVACR. And what we were told is that it was the earliest pivot in Techstars history.
Yeah. No, well, it was like you didn't even start it, right?
We didn't even start it. And so I was proud of that stat.
That is a cool one.
Great story.
It must be on your LinkedIn profile.
Yeah.
It's not a bad point. I think I could double down on the earliest pivot thing. But I'm just so glad we made that decision. It was very heart-wrenching to do. It was very difficult to do, to watch the death of a business I had been working on for over a year. I had called a bunch of customers. I said, hey, this isn't going to continue anymore. And if you want to just maintain a subscription and use it, you're free to do that, but I'm not doing anything else with this. So it was, I had built a relationship with all these customers over a time, and it's for anyone who started a business before, they would know how difficult that is to do.
Yeah.
But after that difficult decision was made, it was so clear it was the right decision. And over those 3 months, we put our heads together and figured out how to package our offering in a really easy to use and an easy to buy way with HVACR. And I think we doubled within Techstars HVACR's business. And then since then have I've mentioned that 30%
Yeah.
month over
Month for
month.
month.
Yeah. So where
MMR
is
growth.
where is HVAC?
Wait, one sec, Martin, before you go. I just want to say it's the longest founding story we've ever had on Bricks and Bytes, without
But
doubt. 22 minutes, and we still don't know what the product is.
but they've been great in passing the bar between each other.
Oh man, like,
they
I'm not
didn't
complaining.
need us at all.
You've
actually.
given me,
Yeah, yeah.
you've given me. I don't know if it's a diss or a compliment or
Compliment.
anything.
No, it's a
You're saying
compliment.
that I
It's a
talk too much,
compliment.
which I already knew.
Hey, if it was not good, we would have ended that story like 10, 15 minutes ago. So we're here.
Thank you, guys.
The product is secondary. I mean, no, the product is everything. But
That's
yeah, HVACR is HVAC design platform. Yeah, it's cloud based, and it's just a step-by-step, basically guided environment for mechanical engineers in the construction space. And so, software as a service, we are serving mainly MEP firms. So we sell to businesses, B2B, and most of our users are mechanical engineers, either PE or EITs, mechanical designers. We also service design build contractors that have their engineers in-house, and then a number of either like solo engineering, like startups, like micro engineering teams that do a mix of residential and commercial, as well as even some HVAC contractors that just need quick load calcs. And so really like the core of our product, the most computationally heavy part and what takes up really a lot of time in mechanical engineering is doing load calculations, which is accounting for all the factors in a building and figuring out how big your HVAC system needs to be to handle the thermal load, both in summer and in winter, heat going in or heat escaping your building. But then from there are, dozens of steps that follow, turning that load into airflows. That's how much air is going to go through the ductwork and be supplied to the space at certain temperatures, sizing coils and equipment to accomplish that, and then designing the actual infrastructure, the layout itself to distribute that air, i.e. ductwork, and sizing that ductwork so you're getting the proper pressure losses, proper velocities through the duct so it's not too loud, but the duct's not too big and it fits in the space and distributes the right amount of volume of air to your spaces. And a really important aspect of our product is the interface. Like none of these things I described are like revolutionary or new. Like the math is out there. What's really innovative about HVACR is the interface itself. One, kind of combining a lot of these steps into one platform, but two, there's just not another product in the HVAC industry, that has been built so recently, but also is actually intuitive, really clean, user-friendly. An intern can learn it in an hour. Like everything else, all the legacy software in the industry, it still kind of looks like it was built in the 90s. It's Windows within Windows within Windows as you kind of go through settings, and it's just it's really difficult to learn. So even from the beginning, we wanted to set this up so that you don't need to be like an HVAC expert, like PhD mechanical engineer, to figure out how to use this product. There was a little bit of an inspiration from TurboTax, which I think taxes are more complicated than HVAC design, and still they made something that is like, who knows nothing about the tax system can just like go through these steps and get them done. And so we're like, hey, we could let's do something more like that rather than like needing to train somebody for 40 hours before they can like do one thing in our product. So it's kind of all packaged in just a really great way, which I also think is a testament to not just the engineering side of this team, myself, Andrew, Dayton, who's one of our full-time developers, also happens to be my brother, but also the design, the design tendencies. I guess it's not always the case that engineers are good at design, like UI, UX, making things kind of clean. But everyone here on the team, we actually do care a lot about those things, and are pretty good at it. Andrew's very good at it, not just building all the back end we need, but also packaging it in a way that's like just beautiful. So
it's a really interesting point. You are focusing on the design quite a bit, because it's a discussion that's come up more and more on this podcast about the design of products and how important that is to the success of the product itself. And I think within construction technology, part of the reason why it has not done so well historically is because the products are like very clunky and there's so many buttons and people are like, what the hell? But as soon as you start bringing nice design in, everyone gets excited. Like, this is something I actually want to use.
Yeah. And two other like byproducts of really good design is one, in this industry, everybody wants to trial, right? So now it's just a very structured part of our sales process is demo, and then 90% of the time it's 30-day trial with the company. And when companies run a trial, they're taking their engineers off like billable work to try this thing on the side. And so if it takes them 4 hours just to get familiar with the program itself, that's like, boom, 4 hours gone. Now they have to actually like run a project in the program. If that takes them a long time, it's like getting somebody to actually utilize a trial is really difficult if most of their time is spent just learning the thing. And so having really clean UI and like setting up in a very organized way allows them to learn it way faster and then complete a project as they're learning it, kind of going in this guided, structured way. So it helps a ton with trials. You're able to give an engineer experience with the program in even just like a couple hours. They don't have to like set aside 20 hours of non-billable work to test out your thing, which is huge. I totally forgot what the other thing I was going to mention was. Oh, adoption. So post-trial, one of the things that I've been, I did not think this was going to be one of the pain points that customers express, but doing discovery calls or demo calls, a lot of the, like when I talk to the higher ups, some of the decision makers at the company, or some of like the chief innovation officer types, they talk about the pain points. And then one that is actually very real is, will our engineers actually adopt this thing? If we decide to buy and then roll it out, they're still dependent on their engineers kind of going along with that. And at a lot of companies, you've got a mix of old guys that have been doing it, a certain way for a long, long time. You've got some new folks. And then if management says, hey, we're going to be using this software, it can be real dicey on whether or not the engineers actually cling to that and adopt it. So making the software very clean, really easy to learn, and really easy to use helps with that whole side of things too. when they do want to roll out the program because they see the benefits. Now the engineers are able to pick it up with very little downtime. There's not this big like gut wrenching like pain of transitioning from one program to another and relearning all this stuff. It's very quick to pick up, and so adoption happens really like naturally, which is what we're seeing. Where instead of like going to every office and like training up each team and being like, you guys need to start using this, it's you can just train like a core group, and then word just spreads and they say, oh, this is way easier, you got to jump on this, and the adoption is a lot more natural, which is just a testament to the design of the program itself, the UI UX.
Hey listeners, I want to take a quick break to remind you about the Bricks and Bytes newsletter. If you're interested in learning about the technology shaping the future of construction, you won't want to miss the valuable insights we share each week. To get this exclusive content delivered straight to your inbox, head over to www.bricks-bytes.com and sign up today. Link is in the show notes. Back to the show.
Davies, you said earlier that there used to be like 12 different type of files within the design industry within HVAC. I guess there was a need for that because there's perhaps software that does like an early stage design somehow, then there is maybe another stage, and then there is like fabrication stage, and these files, they represent different stages. So within your platform, do you supersede the need for all of those, or you picking a particular part of the design within HVAC?
Yeah, there's as you go through the different stages in design, and I think this applies to mechanical, electrical, plumbing, fire protection, really all the engineering disciplines. There are different tasks and calculations you need to do. You can almost separate it. Like there's the engineering work, and then there's the design work. And with the engineering work, it's more of the calculations, right? You're not necessarily putting things on paper yet, but you're doing all the math so that you know what it is that you have to draft, what you have to draw. And so that's all happening early. Conceptual design, you might even just have the perimeter of a building, like really nothing built out. It's just like really rough ideas. And engineers already have to start doing calculations so they can get an idea of what the system is going to look like. So in HVACR, we're covering optimized for and focused on the engineering aspects. So setting up a basis of design, here are all my assumptions and requirements, mechanical wise, for this building project. That leads into actually like taking off and measuring out your spaces in your building, doing those load calculations, additional calculations done in HVACR to convert those to airflows so you can actually start designing the dry side, the air side system in this building. And so that's a big engineering task. And then at some point in the design process, you got to get your mechanical design set together. And that's where we get into more drafting and 3D coordination, which is folks are using Revit, right, for that mostly. We still have some people on AutoCAD, but we're not going into that realm of things. We're sticking with engineering side of it. And then from there, it's a handoff to take all this engineered content and then actually put the design together, draft it so it looks the way you want it to look. It's tagged the way you want it. You've got your notes, you've got your schedules and details, your title block, and that's when you put your package together. So we're kind of like the first part, and then the drafting is, that's what Revit's for.
Okay. I think that to your point earlier, Dave, about the great design, do you think that this is like how much of that do you attribute to something Andrew mentioned earlier, which is as we were discussing offline beforehand, 30% like month-on-month growth on your MR, monthly recurring revenue?
I think it certainly has made it, like I said, with the trials, like the design allows you to kind of shorten the sales cycle a little bit. In this industry, it's still a very long sales cycle. I'm still not happy with it, but at least it's easy to run trials. At least it's
Hmm.
easy to like I can do I've done 15-minute demos, and just because everything's so clean, they're like, oh yeah, we get what this is right away. So it helps with the sales process in a big way, which contributes to just getting more people through, more people in our pipeline, more people set up on trials, and then closed. So that's a big part of it. But then, yeah, really the growth is because engineers love it. We're getting insane feedback on the product, and we have now like a pretty core large group of like champions and like evangelists, especially with this new generation that's coming into now more senior roles, senior engineering roles, that have experienced it. They love the design, and so they're very eager to share it, which has led to more inbound for me rather than like constant founder-led sales outbound type work. And it's very clearly like a different thing. Like the design has really set us apart from our competition, because you can pull up like Train Trace or Carrier HAP, some of these legacy programs side by side with HVACR, and it's like, okay, really clear what the new, like who the new guys are, and where some of the innovation is happening. And yeah, this younger generation is seems to be like pretty happy with it, and also really eager to share it, which I find a little bit surprising because they're sharing it with their competitors, right? They're sharing it with other engineers at other firms, like how much they like this thing. So that's definitely contributed as well. I think in terms of the growth, though, talking about that, another really interesting aspect is just like the pricing model. Andrew, I don't know if you want to talk about that, because that was a big revelation
I'm
for
telling you,
us.
and they don't need hosts. They are just getting into these questions that we are about to ask.
Is that what you're asking next? Well, I mean, I was going to add as far as the design question goes that my philosophy on design is very I think it's so fundamental to the product. I don't view it as, oh, we build a product and then we get our CSS right and get the styling looking good and its makeup at the end. I really consider it what's the workflow we're solving, and who's the user, and where they start and where do they finish, and what are all the steps in between. And I think that's something that we thought really, really hard about and were able to get right. And since we've gotten into this world, I've noticed a lot of products get this wrong, where they maybe solve problems at different points in a design process, or engineering tech or construction tech in general. But maybe their workflow spans across too many different teams, and it's too confusing who buys it, who's the buyer. But in our case, where we start the process with importing architectural floor plans to build your building model inside of HVACR, or even now we built a Revit plugin to import from Revit. It starts the process at the right time for the HVAC engineer and exits the process at the right time when they create their drawings. A lot of people mix and match this, and it's too hard to sell a package to an industry. You can't sell a package to an industry. You have to sell it to one team, one group of people that have a very specific workflow.
It's much
that
easier then.
you totally solve.
Yeah.
And I feel like that sounds very obvious, but I've just seen so many teams get it wrong, and it's hard to sell. So I think that's one thing that we got right, and that's sort of baked into the pricing model as well. We used to sell these a la carte seats. You could buy 1 seat or 6 seats, and it'd be what were we doing? $200 a month or something for each seat.
Mhm.
And we just found, and we had different ways we discounted after a certain amount, or maybe on enterprise try to charge more, and it made it confusing. And it made sense for us because we had time to digest it behind the scenes. And we found that it was just slowing deals down. And we had some mentors talk to us about, well, what it sounds so simple. What do they actually want? And in most cases, it was like, well, we just want 3 seats. We want the opportunity to add a few more if or 20 more at a very discounted price, but here's the package and here's what you buy. And even if you're a 1-person team, it's like you get a package of HVACR professional. And so we kind of found we just found that this price point made way more sense as far as scaling support across a team for us and being able to provide the resources there. And that's maybe just to get to the next aspect of our business is one of the things that also helps us stand out, and our customers rave about, is just how excellent our support is.
I have a story. On the pricing thing, and this is a sales story too. But while we were in TechStars, we got connected with 3 really awesome mentors, and I was doing all the sales calls for the most part and doing demos for folks. And I was like, what am I doing? I'm an engineer. I need help with this. They said, record your next one and send it to us, and we'll give you pointers. I was like, oh, geez. But I did. And in the sales call, even I was like aware of, okay, this is going to be sent towards like these highly respectable, like entrepreneur, like who's who of San Diego. And I sent it to him, and he gave me awesome advice. But one of the things was like, hey, you realize you spent like almost 8 full minutes explaining how your pricing works. Like that's a big chunk of this like 30-minute meeting that you had. Just change it. Like you need to make this easier to understand. Just
what's the easiest way
simplify it.
to make it understand for people?
Well, I was trying to explain how, like, I was trying to solve the problem of, okay, they want some seats now, but the engineers, they kind of go through this waxing and waning, and they don't need the product all the time throughout the whole year. It like the need shifts from engineer to engineer, team to team. So we want our seats to be tied to an account. But we're going to price per seat. So we ended up kind of doing this like true up thing where you can see it's taking me a long time to explain what this is. It's like, okay, you can have as many seats as you want. We won't charge you until the end of the year. And then your next contract is going to be for your actual usage. And it just took it was too confusing. So now it's just like, you have a base bundle. It's $800 per month, comes with 3 seats. And if you want additional seats, it's another $60 per month per seat. Just let us know. We can add more.
Do you get pushback?
What's that?
Do you get pushback from this?
No.
Because it's very simple, right? 3 seats, that's the cost. Additional is 60 quid or $60. And
yeah, and it's just a 3-seat minimum.
And there's no usage attached to it, right? It's just full functionality of the platform, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And it typically does.
And you can swap between the users, I guess, right? You can just log in as.
Yeah. We do have floating licenses, so it's easy to swap people in and out. But yeah, most importantly, the reason we don't get pushback is because this usually comes after a trial period, and for these trials, we actually do require that the businesses we work with come in with a project. We don't just hand out a trial to anybody. They have to be working on something at the time. Otherwise, they're not a buyer because they don't have a project to work on. And and at the end of the process, we basically just go through a set of questions about how much time it saved them compared to what they were doing before. And if there was not an ROI for them, then we would never ask them to buy. We would say it's not really right for you. But what we almost see almost every time is that they're saving 3, 4, 5, 10 times the time that they were spending before. And when you run those numbers out, it starts to make our price look almost very too low. And I think I think we found a point where I mean, it's a very difficult exercise for startups to do. Sometimes it feels really arbitrary at times about how to price a product, especially when you have something that has such a low marginal cost of reproduction like SaaS, but a high cost of support. Anyway, with all those variables together, we kind of found this point where it feels very low to them, and they feel the marginal value of each seat to their business, and where we're able to support them super well and deliver a great product.
So I want to touch here on, so during the trial, do you have like a team supporting the team who is doing the design, or they have the project that they're working on, and there is no need perhaps for communication between your team and the design team?
No, so I try and be as involved as possible, especially during the trial, and then for the first well, for forever, but particularly in the first like few projects after the trial, where members of the team are still getting familiar with the program. And this has also really helped with our whole sales process. It's helped with growth. But when we start a trial with folks, we set the rules. So this is something we had to learn. Like, we are going to set the structure for your trial. We're going to tell you the steps you're going to follow, more or less, and what we expect on our side. It's not just, yeah, go ahead, try it out. Let me know in a month what you think, what you want to do from there. It's, hey, we're going to start a trial, and this is exactly how it goes. So demo call goes well, team wants to start a trial. Okay, before I activate your trial, here's the calendar, schedule a trial kickoff meeting. This is a 60-minute session with me where we actually do a step-by-step. I train them so that they can just hit the ground running. And I try and get one of their projects. So I'm actually using their project for this training. And then I usually do like a portion of it, and I leave a portion undone so I can just hand that off to the engineer, and their trial has already started. So they're already using it. They've got 30 days. Every week, I'm checking in with them to see if they have any questions. In our app, we have a link to our support calendar, and they can book a call anytime to get face-to-face with a team member, show their project, and get help on it. And so I make them aware of that. We've got chat in our app where they can actually tag our support team and ask a question in the chat about their project. This allows us to open it up and even respond right there inside the project chat. So we are involved, lots of support in those 30 days. And then at the trial kickoff, I say, hey, 30 days from now, the trial is going to wrap up. We need to schedule a wrap-up meeting, 30 minutes, so that I can get all the feedback. I want your feedback from the trial, things you liked, things you didn't like. We're always trying to improve the product. But also, I expect a determination in 30 days. So if there are any decision makers, any guy up here you need to talk to, start that process now. Because I want to know what you guys want to do in 30 days. Does that seem fair? And they're almost always like, yep, that makes sense. Or if they say, we're going to need more time, or this guy's going to be out of town on vacation, and we got to, this group is going to have to, then it's just, okay, let's just wait then. Let's wait. We'll start the kickoff when the timing is better. And that just requires a little patience, a little frustrating, but it ends up going better when you just wait until they actually have the bandwidth, the right people are in place to actually run it and get a decision made.
A lot of startups get just so excited to do a deal, and they just jump into something before it's clear that it's ready. And yeah, an important thing we learned is that no one buys for your reasons or on your timeline. They're going to buy for their reasons because it impacts their business. And so if they're not in a position to truly evaluate what you're trying to sell, then I mean, I advise people just you didn't find something to sell them. You need to time it better, or make sure that it's actually adding value to their business. Because I just don't get any long-term value out of selling something to someone that doesn't give them value.
Yeah, I'm sometimes on the other side of this equation, buying software for structural engineers, or being on the receiving end of the pitch of the software. And what I find sometimes frustrating, because as we are crazy busy in a business, that there is this 2 weeks trial period. And we have obviously the number of projects which are kind of rolling, and we need to finish them, and we can't just spend 3 days or 4 days. And I'm talking about small business below 10 people. To suddenly jump on a few calls and get and learn how to use another software. And yeah, that's frustration on my side, on the side of someone who is buying software, as seems like there should be more time given to try these things in a free time. But obviously there's no free things.
I think what you guys are doing is just so much more intentional and purposeful than here's a 2-week trial, see you in 2 weeks. On Davis, I'm very curious. We're like sailing through the time here, but you guys, Davis in particular, Andrew, I'm not actually sure I'm connected with you on LinkedIn, so this could apply to you too, but we'll find out in a second. You have a very strong content strategy, personal content strategy with you post a lot of videos and so on and so forth. Well, why? What's the thinking? I don't mean why. So direct. Like, what's the thinking behind this? Is it a part of your strategy, or do you just do it because you just enjoy building the business?
So this was also kind of a breakthrough this year. Starting out 2023, 2024. I was not posting anything. I was not involved really on LinkedIn. I was just trying to connect with people. And even towards the beginning, I was really just using LinkedIn to connect with the right people and then DM them and just try and schedule discovery calls or demos. And so it was really just for the purpose of outbound. And then beginning of this year, was encouraged by Andrew, also listening to some other content creators and entrepreneurs that I respect a lot, to give more value to the audience we're looking for, and to establish a personal brand, to establish expertise. I have expertise in this industry, but nobody knows that. So my way of doing that was, hey, I want to make just really good HVAC 101, explainer videos, make not super long, 5 minutes, but really succinct, really well explained concepts that are extremely helpful for new engineers, younger engineers, but also just maybe a way that older engineers haven't heard explained before, that also allows them to better communicate to the younger engineers these concepts. Because it is, it's mechanical engineering, thermodynamics, psychrometrics, fluid mechanics, all this stuff. But if you can if you can be a guy that can explain these things really clearly and succinctly, then that has a ton of value. So I started doing that because I wanted to just give more value to the people I was connected with and the people in the industry. I wanted to grow my personal channel, my personal brand. And what we found is that that has also contributed in a very big way to the growth of our company. And it's because people trust people. People don't trust companies. Like if it's just company logo reaching out, sponsored messages on LinkedIn, nobody likes that. You don't trust it. But if it's this guy and you've been watching his videos and he's been teaching you things and you're like, okay, cool. This guy knows how to knows his stuff and he knows how to explain it really well. And I'm getting a lot of value out of this. Then when I reach out, they're like, oh, hey, what's up? Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to jump on a call. Kind of trying to build trust with the market, with the market we're going after, with this audience, so that those conversations just go a lot easier. I've already given them something. I've already given them value in some way. And then I'm saying, hey, I have another thing that has even more value. Do you want to check it out? That's a really easy thing to say yes to, coming from like a human, not from at HVAKR.com, right? It's coming from me, who they've seen. So it was, I was kind of hesitant to do it, but I've grown into it. I'm starting to enjoy it more. And we started seeing the benefits of it probably like within 60 days of just posting stuff. That I don't even mention HVACR most of the time. If anything, it's just like a little bloop at the end of the video. Bloop, HVACR. But still, I'm getting way more questions about HVACR just from putting that stuff out.
Nice. Love it.
And one of the ways we've kind of heard it said is to give away all the secrets and sell the implementation. And I think that's something that Davis has done just really well, is he kind of takes the blanket off of all of the math, all of the things that are actually happening in the background, which I think a lot of people would be hesitant to do. We've it reminds me of this tool we developed. We built this set of Excel sheets that has almost all the math and all the formulas that you would need to complete a job. But it's, this problem that Davis explained in the past, where you've got all these different files to do all these different things, but we've prepared that in a better way than most have, and we give that away for free. And we feel like that's giving away a lot of secrets, but it also exposes this workflow problem, and someone could go use that, or it's still available to them to come talk to us and use our platform to achieve the same thing in 10, 20 times faster.
Yeah, it feels kind of silly to like give somebody what we're competing with. Like, we're competing with like a list of Excel spreadsheets. So to create really good Excel spreadsheets and then give them away seems really counterintuitive.
But like look at HubSpot or someone like that. They give away all their marketing plans and stuff like that for free.
Right.
But everyone still goes to HubSpot when they need a CRM.
Yeah, HubSpot's onto something.
They've got good mentors to learn from. Mind, you have one last one?
Yeah, I wanted to ask what mistakes founders make within the design space in our industry in construction that you guys noticed.
I don't have a great example of a specific founder or company, or like there aren't, at least the folks I'm connected with, the stories I've heard, they seem to be doing it the right way. But even within larger organizations, groups tasked with building a new product should still operate like startups, and most of the time they don't. So I
What do you
think,
mean operate by like startups?
So, I guess I can use Train as an example. That's one of the legacy programs we compete with. Is they have Train is a massive manufacturer, huge company. They sell HVAC equipment. That's their main thing. They have a software product called Train Trace, which does load calculations, piece that engineers need to size equipment. And that's been around forever. They had this product Trace 700, and that was one of the go-to load calc programs. And then they rolled out a new version, Trace 3D Plus. And I think one of the mistakes was not asking their customers if they actually want it. It's a like conceptually on paper, really awesome idea. And I think this applies to lots of different, startups in general. But when I said like even small groups within a large organization rolling out a new product should act like startups, saying you still have to go through the process of customer discovery, market research, getting on the call with the end users and asking what they actually want. Instead of just building based on this grandiose idea of what you think is awesome. And so I've seen that in a couple places, more with the legacy programs rolling out updates or like new versions of their programs.
Malinvestments.
Yeah, they and I hear it secondhand from, I probably had like over 500 conversations with engineers about the products they're using now, and then about HVACR, what they don't like about it. And almost all of them with some of these new versions rolled out are like, it's taking me longer to do my work now. And I just don't understand how you can roll out a product that takes you longer and that costs the engineer more time than your previous version. And the only conclusion is they did not talk to their engineers. They did not talk to their customers about it. And so not going through what a startup should go through can be, I think, a really big mistake. Ended up in a product that, I mean, you've just gone too far with it before even like giving it to somebody to try. And then by that time, like you double down, it's too late. You're like, no, this is the product. And it doesn't matter if it takes you 3 times as long now. So that's what I've seen. So it's exciting to see a new cohort in our space of web-based programs that are acting more like startups, more engaged with their customers, and just seem more in line with the end users.
Andrew, you want to add to it?
What I was going to say was sometimes it's not even necessarily their fault, and they're just pure and simple in an innovator's dilemma. Like they just can't shake up their legacy product because it would be too disruptive to their existing customers, and it just gets into this vicious cycle that makes it worse and worse. And they're just not in a position to disrupt themselves. So that's often in the cycle of innovation what leaves room for startups like us, smaller teams, to build a better product than these massive companies, which feels like it should never happen intuitively to someone looking from the outside in. How can this team of 3, 4, 5 people beat these mega companies? But a lot, if you study this effect, then it starts to become clear. And then when you look at our products and compare them and what customers say about them, the difference is obvious.
I wanted to ask you guys one more thing, Owen, before we end. Within architectural software, when we spoke a few times with even investors, actually invested in architectural software and architects, architectural founders, they measure time spent on their software as a good thing for adoption. Okay, from the business point of view, when I run small engineering consultancy, I want my engineers to spend as little possible time on the task, on this software, and then move on to the next one, etc., etc. So we couldn't get to the point, to the common conclusion, having this conversation in the past. Like, what are your thoughts on this? Do you guys want your customers to spend more time on your software, or you measure their success in a different way?
Yeah, it's if you were Facebook or Google, then those metrics make total sense, because or on YouTube, and you want to serve as many ads as possible. You want to keep people there. But if you're trying to get a job done and the output is a project completed, a design completed, then I agree with you. You'd want to spend less time. I think it's easy to get caught up in this because you look at your usage statistics and you get flattered. Like, oh, they're spending all this time on
like, what's the point?
Good. But it's not necessarily creating value. I think we managed to get this far into the recording and never talk about AI yet. But AI, I know it's kind of an accomplishment.
Yes,
but I'm sure that's refreshing. I will say that that also changes the way that I think this dynamic will play out. If it gets more and more autonomous, and based on what we're building, that's what we're seeing, it's going to get faster and faster to complete the same job and maybe require fewer and fewer people. So what kind of metric you use to indicate success it always steers your product. And if you expect AI to materially improve your product, you should expect those metrics to improve. And so I would say less time to complete a task is a metric that we watch.
Yeah, we actually changed, like on our dashboard, we used to have time spent, in the program. Now instead we have projects completed. So we're watching the project completed curve go up. And actually I have a story from a conversation with one of our customers, really trying to upsell them, see if they need more seats. And their response was, well, we used to need 3 engineers to do all these load calcs. And now we have HVACR, and we just got this one guy who's so good at it, and he's doing the work of 3 engineers now.
Yeah, that's
and
what
we
we
were
want.
Like,
beautiful.
Yeah.
It was a double-edged sword for sure, because I'm like, I want you to buy more seats, but now you need fewer seats because the product's so good. Okay, all right.
But now you need to increase the pricing for the gentleman, perhaps.
I have a whole article that I wrote for us internally on this question and this shift that's happening. Every SaaS company has to deal with this as they adopt AI and their product gets better and the number of users goes down. You either eat into your TAM by reducing your total number of users that you can sell to, or you'd have to increase your price so much per person that it becomes untenable to actually sell in the package. Or you can start to change the denominator of what you're charging for. Instead of per seat, then it could be per project or other. And that's what you see a lot of the AI startups doing now. This is very much, though, a look into the future. This isn't something that we are changing right now or even in the near future. So if our customers are listening to this, I don't want to scare them or anything.
By the way, I would say, Andrew, to your point about getting this far and not just talking about AI, I think a barometer for us at Bricks and Bytes, trying to determine who the great companies are, is how late in the conversation AI comes up. Unless, of course, they are like an AI native company and that's the nature of their product. But yeah, often if the conversation centers around the AI topic, then maybe there's some other issues that are being covered over. So congratulations.
It's an easy buzzword to say and sound relevant.
Yeah, of course. Guys, we have to wrap up. Thank you so much for joining us. Very, very insightful. Really, really love the business that you guys have built. I genuinely mean that as well. So thank you. And will you be doing a fundraise or something anytime soon? Or do you
Need
want
any
to plug
money?
something? Yeah, need any money?
Well, we're not publicly announcing any sort of fundraising opportunities, but
Fair enough.
if anyone listening is interested, they can reach out to either Davis or I, and we'll get back to you.
Yeah, fair enough. Cool, nice one. Thank you,
Great.
guys.
Thank you.